In recent years, Samsung has created a successful practice of always finding an extra sound channel or two to differentiate its new flagship soundbars from their predecessors. That pattern, however, has been interrupted for the HW-Q990B in 2022. While the Q990B's channel count may have plateaued, Samsung's quality from those channels has not. Is the Samsung HW-Q990B the greatest surround soundbar combo available in 2022? The HW-Q990B, as we've come to expect from a flagship Samsung soundbar, has a class-leading set of features, and, of course, a premium price to match. The Q990B costs £1,599 in the United Kingdom. It costs $1,899 in the United States. Also available in Australia for $2,099 Australian dollar. That's a large sum of money, roughly equivalent to a separate based AV receiver and speakers bundle. But certainly, if you're looking at a soundbar, even one that, like the Q990B, is made up of 4 different components, you're doing it because you want the convenience, compatibility, and compactness that soundbars provide, rendering the separates comparison meaningless. Although Samsung hasn't raised the Q990B's channel count over the HW-Q950 soundbar flagship from 2021, it remains the device's most eye-catching feature. After all, it's not every day that you come across a soundbar with an 1.1.4 arrangement of real, as opposed to virtual, audio channels of front center, front left, front right, side right, front side right, rear right, rear side left, rear side right, 2 front up-firing drivers, 2 rear up-firing drivers, and, of course, the subwoofer. Now that we've covered everything, it's difficult to see how Samsung could have found another channel even if it had wanted to. Of course, a high channel count is supplied to allow the soundbar to provide the most immersive experience possible while playing Dolby Atmos or DTS-X soundtracks for object-based surround sound audio output. The Q990B's connections are identical to those of its predecessor. On the one hand, this is good news because it implies there are 2 HDMI inputs in addition to the HDMI output. The HDMI output also has eARC compatibility, allowing it to receive lossless Dolby Atmos or DTS-X sounds from compatible TVs, and the HDMI loop supports both the HDR10 Plus and Dolby Vision Premium HDR codecs, as well as the more basic HDR10 and HLG high dynamic range systems. It's a little unfortunate that there's no HDMI compatibility for the latest 4K/120 FPS, variable refresh rate, VRR, and auto low latency mode, ALLM, gaming capabilities on such a high-priced speaker. As a result, owners of cutting-edge consoles or PCs will need to route their gaming devices through their TV and use the eARC capability to send game soundtracks to the soundbar. The Q990B has a plethora of wireless connectivity choices, including AirPlay 2 and, in our first departure from the Q950A, Samsung's spanking new wireless Dolby Atmos technology. Without a physical HDMI eARC connection, this can receive Dolby Atmos tracks from compatible Samsung TVS.AS. With the Q950A, you can make a wireless connection for sharing tunes from relatively recent Samsung phones by just tapping them against the bodywork of the soundbar. AAC, WAV, MP3, FLA, AIFF, OGG, and ALAC are all supported audio file formats. It's past time to discuss how the Q990B differs from previous models, besides from the wireless Dolby Atmos technology. To begin, while the main soundbar retains the same channel layout, sculpting, and size, the rears and subwoofer have received major upgrades. The rears now sit on short pedestal stands that appear to neutralize potential coloration from whatever surface you place them on, and their top edges now angle down at the front rather than being flat, to help push the sound from the up-firing drivers forward, where it meets the sound from the front up-firers better and creates a more natural overhead effect. Meanwhile, the subwoofer retains the same massive 8-inch driver as its predecessor, but its enclosure is larger and includes an intriguing new acoustic lens feature. To improve the consistency and omnidirectional dispersion of the bass output, a cover stands slightly proud of the recessed driver. The Q990B also has built-in auto calibration, called SpaceFit by Samsung, which allows the soundbar to change its channel balance and sound to fit your room setup. This feature reruns itself automatically every day, and it is joined by Auto EQ, a system that constantly monitors and fine-tunes how the subwoofer integrates into the larger soundstage. Samsung's Q Symphony feature, which allows the soundbar to collaborate with the speakers in compatible Samsung TVs, is carried over to the Q990B, although the potential combination channel count is increased to 22, depending on the spec of the Samsung TV with which the soundbar is paired. Finally, Samsung has upgraded the adaptive sound mode, which it utilizes to upconvert stereo and other low-channel sources into something that employs all of the Q990B's available channels. Even though last year's Samsung Q950A was the greatest soundbar in town for producing both a fully formed Dolby Atmos bubble and loads of raw surround sound power, the Q990B sounds even better. The increased balance and cohesiveness of all the Q990B's various channels is the primary reason for this. The sound circle around your seat feels even more full, with no noticeable gaps in front, to the side, behind, or even above you to disrupt your immersion in a solid Dolby Atmos mix. Details feel even more precisely placed, and sounds that travel around a mix, whether back to front, side to side, or both, find their way around your living room even more convincingly than they did on the Q950A in 2021. This is apparently due to the better back speaker and subwoofer design, as well as the new space-fit autocal mechanism. The acoustic lens mechanism also looks to contribute to the enhanced balance of the Q990B. Bass appears to be able to go even deeper than it did with the Q950A, which is saying a lot given that the Q950A's bass was already among the best available in the soundbar industry. The enormous depth of the Q990B's rumbles does not sound forced, sagging, or disconnected from the rest of the mix, and there are virtually no distortions even under the most intense film soundtrack pressure. The primary soundbar may not have the obvious physical improvements that the other components do, but it still sounds better than its predecessor. Again, this is most likely due to enhanced calibration in conjunction with Samsung's efforts to make the additional pieces more effectively integrated with the primary soundbar. Also, while the main soundbar didn't alter much, it didn't need to. It's almost impossible to reconcile the amount of power, clarity, dynamic range, projection, and channel detail it can generate with such a little unit. The scale of its sound is sufficient to fill even a big room, but it does not overpower the channels given by the surprisingly modest back speakers. An issue that could occur with the Q950A at times unless the rear channel volume was manually increased. One final feature of the Q990B that distinguishes it from the great majority of high-end competitors is how aggressively it produces hard impact sounds like gunfire and punches. These are usually a little soft with soundbars, but they sound bone-chillingly violent on the Q990B. While the Q990B continues the pattern of Samsung flagship soundbars being unrivaled performers with Dolby Atmos and DTS-X movie mixes, it also maintains the trend of Samsung flagship soundbars being unrivaled performers with music. In standard mode, which plays audio sources in their natural, typically stereo, configuration, bass can come on a touch too strong, while layered recordings can appear muffled and hemmed in, losing the clarity that is so obvious with film soundtracks.